Today I'm gonna do R in Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny's R.
Bugs Bunny.
Crime?
Well, some might say being too good looking.
I've watched many episodes of the Looney Tunes show. The recent one, I did some digging and I figured his voice in these years, in these episodes, is done by the voice actor Jeff Bergman.
You can only use this plastic knife and string to turn the block of butter into a beautiful sculpture. Wow, Doc, that's great. My turn. Pick a card, any card. Now put it back in the deck.
And I kind of found Bugs Bunny's speech very interesting, especially when he pronounces R. If you look at the videos, you would notice that sometimes Bugs Bunny pronounces the sound ra as ya. He doesn't always do it. He does it sometimes in certain words. For example, if you have a sentence like the birds are chirping, Bugs Bunny would likely say it as the birds are chirping. What is happening here is in his speech, the ra changes to ya. So what does that mean according to the IPA chart? The ra, the English ra, which is a voiced alveolar approximant, shifts in terms of place of articulation and it becomes a voiced palatal approximant. First of all, so keep in mind that R is a voiced alveolar approximant. Ya is a voiced palatal approximant. The feature that differs is alveolar becomes palatal in Bugs Bunny's speech. Let me give you specific examples of this. I'm going to list a few words in Bugs Bunny's speech. The symbol in green is the way he pronounces R. For example, when you have the word third,
The only thing better than a third cup of coffee? A fourth cup of coffee.
the only thing better than a third cup of coffee is a fourth cup of coffee. So he's obviously pronouncing third instead of a ra, he said third. And then for fourth is interesting because sometimes he pronounces it as nothing, fourth. Sometimes he says fourth.
A fourth cup of coffee. Didn't this happen in the daytime on June 1st? Aha! And how would you know that if you were not guilty of this heinous crime?
But that's the only word in the pronunciation of which he's showing variation. The other words are pronounced almost consistently the same as transcribed here. Here, he says,
Jittery? I'm not jittery. If anyone's jittery, you're jittery. I'm not jittery. You're probably not even a real doctor. Why didn't you tell me sooner? What kind of a doctor are you? You okay? Never better. Never, ever, ever better. Why is the Grand Canyon called the Grand Canyon? Because he thought Gargantuan Canyon made him sound fat. Party's over. What are you scared of? This guy? I bet he's a teddy bear.
So I have listed a bunch of words from Bugs Bunny's speech in which the phoneme R has different allophones. So I have listed all those allophones here. So here in the second list, it's a more technical version of this. If you want to become familiar with this way of listing the sounds, this is basically listing the phonological environments. It means I have a double underscore which represents the sound in question, and I have the previous and following sound. This kind of gives you a more abstract picture and it makes it easier for you to analyze. So you can look at what sound precedes the R and what sounds follows the R. I figured out that Bugs Bunny's R has 4 different allophones. So one of them is the regular ra in words like what? The word is jittery.
Jittery? I'm not jittery. If anyone's jittery, you're jittery. I'm not jittery.
So here you see an example of ra. And then in word 7 you see run. He pronounces run.
I'm highly contagious! Run for your life!
Then in the word 10.
Oh, right. No caffeine.
For example, the word is alright. So he says ra. So obviously he can say the ra. But sometimes he just says it like yeah, like third and fourth, like turn or burn.
And not so fast, bub. We gotta turn ourselves in. Are you crazy?
Say it!
My house is burning down!
That's not the line!
Turn on the water!
Instead of turn and burn. So that's another allophone. Sometimes, I think generally he has a non-rhotic accent, which means that if the ra is not followed by a vowel, he doesn't pronounce it. For example, in the word R, he says ah.
Are you crazy? Well, hello. Are you guys itchy?
So what are the other examples of his non-rhotic accent? Number 2. So fourth. So as I told you, there are two variants of fourth in his speech. One of them is non-rhotic, the other one is his particular way of doing the approximant.
A fourth cup of coffee. Didn't this happen in the daytime on June 1st? Aha!
And it's listed in two different allophones. Then the last one is also a feature of his non-rhotic speech, which means that if the ra appears at the end of a word, followed by the word boundary, he replaces it with a schwa. For example, number 18, sure instead of sure.
Where were you on the night of November 10th? I'm not sure. But didn't this happen in the daytime on June 1st? Aha!
Or in word number 6, he pronounces yeah instead of year. So that's again non-rhotic.
How long do I have? A year? A month? A day? Am I contagious?
Everything looks fine.
Great. See you next year.
Whoa, whoa, there is just one thing.
In word number 16, anywhere, he says anywhere.
You're coming with me. I'm not going anywhere without my sparkle.
He has some sort of accent, like basically he has something like a Brooklyn accent from New York, like Bernie Sanders. But he has this peculiarity, which is a feature of his idiolect. So we could call this Bugs Bunny's idiolect too. What happens is, when the ra sound is preceded by these two vowels, you see the open mid unrounded central vowel, he always if it's followed by a consonant, he always pronounces it as the palatal approximant. If it's preceded by this vowel, which is an open mid rounded back vowel, he may or may not pronounce it as the palatal approximant. So there's a video in the phonology season that explains the word complementary distribution and contrastive distribution. If you watch that video and you want to analyze Bugs Bunny's speech more technically, you will see here that the 4 different variants or the 4 different allophones of the phoneme ra in his speech are in complementary distribution. It means that they appear in different environments, and by environment I mean preceding and or following sound. If the vowel is this or this, whatever consonant it is, he's very likely to pronounce this as ya. So I tried to turn this into a rule. This is like a draft. So you would see that in his speech, the sound ra becomes a ra when it's followed by a vowel, becomes schwa when it's word final, preceded by a vowel. It becomes nothing when it's followed by a consonant, and it becomes ya if it's preceded by these and followed by a consonant. So now if I give you a few words and ask you to pronounce it like Bugs Bunny, you should be able to figure out if you should do it or not. Now I'm going to transcribe these words in regular English, like general North American English. Now let's turn them into Bugs Bunny words. If this is preceded by this vowel and followed by a consonant, then you can turn this into ya. So you can say third. So care would be care because it's word final. Large, non-rhotic accent, large. So when it turns into nothing, I can use the nothing symbol. Burn, this vowel followed by consonant, burn. And then this one again. There is not a kernel of truth in what you're saying. And then card, non-rhotic English, cod. Ka, non-rhotic English, ka. And then learn would be line, and church would be church. Okay, so I clarified his speech and when he pronounced the yeah, boin, coinal, and when he doesn't pronounce it like ka and cod. I hope you liked this video, and I'm sure there are other people interested in Bugs Bunny's speech with cool examples. Feel free to comment or link to videos with examples of his speech. That would be awesome. I'm a Bugs Bunny fan. Welcome to the Bugs Bunny fan club. There was an interesting video. If you're interested in Bugs Bunny, this video provides a history of all the voice actors that have voiced Bugs Bunny's speech since the very beginning of the creation of the Bugs Bunny character.